there is a podcast no one asked for. A podcast you never knew you didn't want. 3 beers in. This is the podcast.
I anticipate a deeply religious experience.
Greetings, listener, and welcome to another episode of 3 Beers In. Today on the podcast, we're recording from Blue Owl Brewing in Austin, Texas. Today we have myself, Clint. To my left here is Ross.
Hey.
Joel. He's there. Cutter.
Yo.
Tony.
Hey, guys.
And Jeff, the owner
And head brewer, right? Or
executive brewer.
Executive
brewer.
brewer.
That's the title I gave myself.
Make you feel all corporate.
Co-founder, right?
Co-founder and
There you
executive brewer, yeah.
Very nice.
Oh.
All right, so we're drinking the
Tropical
Tropical Brut.
Brut.
Okay. Now, it's passion fruit and pink guava.
That is correct.
All right.
Passion fruit, pink
So-
guava.
Oh, yeah, it's a brut. Okay, we said brut. All right, nice.
Well, it's not a brewed IPA. We always
It
have
is
to.
not. It is just a... What would you call it?
So that was
brut?
That was part of the issue with this beer was there's not really anything like it that you could call it. So
Yeah.
there's no hops in it whatsoever.
Oh,
Zero hops.
wow, okay.
That's why you'll notice it.
So it's got a low shelf life, or...
No, so well, maybe, but we haven't found out yet.
Right.
But essentially, it is a single malt that is dried out, kind of like a malt champagne.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And
Okay.
then add the passion fruit, pink guava, and then we actually up the minerality on it a bit. So it's
Oh, okay, yeah.
You may not like specifically notice, but it does have a bit of a saltiness to it.
Yeah.
On the
That can
finish,
kinda
yeah.
help.
Like when you mentioned it's like it's almost saline-like, but yeah.
Celine Dion.
Yeah, that's what I was
Oh, yeah.
Celine Dion.
Yeah, the inspiration for it was basically mimosa. So
Right.
Oh, okay.
champagne kind of dryness,
Yep.
high carbonation levels.
Okay.
Lends itself to fruiting very easily.
Do you
too.
ever mix it with orange juice?
We mix some things with orange juice, not
Yeah.
this one. It's too good by itself.
Yeah.
But we'll do like Little Boss.
Right.
Works really well with orange juice.
Little Boss is great on its own.
And you guys specialize in sours, right?
That is all we do.
That's all you do.
That's all we do. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're jumping ahead here, but why? Why did you do that? I mean, you do that? You were to get a little backstory. You were at Black Star before this, right?
Yeah. So I was one of the founders of Black Star.
Oh,
That's-
founders. Okay. Just founding breweries. That's what you. That's what you're doing. Yeah? Okay.
So here in Austin, I moved here for the second time in 2006, specifically to open a brewery. And when I got here, within the first couple weeks, one of my buddies sent me a flyer about some group of hippies trying to do a co-op pub.
Yeah.
So the idea was a pub back then, and then I went to the first meeting and started talking to everybody, and I'm like, "Hi, my name is Jeff, and I
Hi,
would like
Jeff.
to."
The opposite of an AA meeting.
Oh yeah. I guess so.
There's nothing anonymous about this. So it eventually turned into. It took us about 4 years, and it turned into what we have today, Black Star Co-op Pub and Brewery, and then I started brewing there for about 5 years. And as you can imagine, with a brew pub, you got to do a lot of different styles of beers.
Yeah.
Sure.
You got to please a lot of people that come in. But over time, I started getting kind of fascinated with one particular method and one particular application, and that's acidifying different styles of beer that you're already kind of familiar with. So, back then, and it seems like forever ago, but not really forever ago, 5 years ago, it was weird to have a sour pale ale or sour IPAs.
Right.
Weren't,
Oh yeah.
weren't a
Even
thing, and
today, it's like
it's
what?
still a little.
It's not
obscure.
common, let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that became part of the impetus behind Blue Owl was I wanted to focus on something like that, because I feel like if you're really going to learn something about it, you have to kind of force yourself to completely live in that realm and then fight and struggle to like try to make something.
Make everybody like sour beers.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't care if you don't like it. Just drink it.
Well, it's really interesting when you look at your reviews that people come here not liking sour
Yeah,
beers. It's
exactly.
Like, did you not look this place up in advance? Did you just
It
stumble
just says Blue
from
Owl
your
Brewing. It doesn't say sour Blue
You
Owl.
stumbled from your
on the-
Airbnb and
There you go.
on your scooter. On your scooter.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like sours, but I've liked all of y'all's that we've had so far.
Yeah.
We went to the Austin Beer Festival. I don't know
The
right name
beer
for it,
music
yeah.
festival at Stubbs.
Yeah, that was last year, and they had you guys kind of tucked on the side where it was just kind of
about
like, yeah. There's like a DJ.
Nobody's
going
gonna
to
want sours. Put them over
But
there.
like, there was a line around. Like, it was kind of like it had to be embarrassing for the other breweries because there's two other ones, one on each side, and there's like lines on each side that went in front of theirs.
Just for the Blue Owl.
Yeah, and you had two beers, and they had, I think, each had two as well. But it was like just lines kind of wrapped on each side. I was like, okay, there's something to this. Like I think we did the Professor Black, or we talked about it, or we
we
it
did
at
the
some
Van
point.
Dam, but we also had the Professor
Yeah, we had
Black.
the two,
Yeah.
and then we were like, okay, let's try these other ones that I can't remember the ones you had there, but all of a sudden there's just like lines like every time we went, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think people are fascinated by it. I mean, we're fascinated by it from within the brewery. Tropical Brut, when we were talking about that one, it didn't make any sense. Where we were having to try to come up with like, what do you call this?
Yeah.
Brut. We weren't trying to be misleading, but we were trying to reclaim the word brute from brute IPA.
Yeah.
Which is
brute.
a complete different style. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were kind of joking around. It's like, well, this is the opposite of that brute IPA. We're just like, oh shit. Well, maybe let's not put any hops in it. And actually, we can't get federal label approval for this beer for Tropical Brut because it's not a beer under their definition.
I was waiting to ask that question. Like, without the hops, does that mean it is not beer? Like, technically.
So yeah, it depends on what technical definition you're looking at, but we still pay taxes on it like it is a beer. So under
This isn't really
those
a
regards.
beer. We're not going to give you any federal.
Well, it could be. I mean, it's
for this, but
it's
go
still-
ahead and pay us.
We're gonna, we're still gonna want some money from that.
well, it's still alcohol, right? So they're still going to want the alcohol
Yeah, it's
element
just
of
what
it.
category does it
Right.
fall under?
So it's like a canned champagne, or like what?
Well, it's still considered beer for the IRC, Internal Revenue Center.
Have you ever thought of the slogan, the champagne to beers?
Genius.
Hey, I think I can see that taking off.
Yeah, people would like that.
How many times have you run into that though, where like they're not really classified as a proper style yet? Is that a first for you? That this is the first time this is done, or
Not really in different ways. I mean, even from the beginning, what is a sour pale ale to people? Like, what does that mean? Does that people's expectations are based on whatever they know, whatever their environment is. If they're familiar with Jester King or they're in Austin, then that's generally what they think of a sour. But for us, we were trying to redefine what it meant to be that, as well as try to figure that out as we went along. Because it's not like we had all these brilliant ideas at the beginning. It just like we were like, maybe you could call it a sour pale ale, and people or sour red ale. That was a hard one, Van Dam, because we started that with some sort of kind of callback to Flemish reds.
Right.
And we knew it obviously had nothing to do with a Flemish red, but it was inspired by that because it was red. But we really trapped ourselves into a corner, basically, because it wasn't a Flemish red. And if it wasn't that, then what was it? We couldn't communicate that to people, so we eventually just stopped brewing it because we just didn't understand it. And then it wasn't until maybe a year and a half later that we started playing around with some of these Northwest hops, more the piney hops. That piney resiny hop, we just never imagined that would work well in a sour beer. We thought it would conflict a little bit too much, but we did some little batch that we played around, and when we put them together, they were really fruity, piney, refreshing with a little bit of malt sweetness in there, and it became really cool. So then, like, once we cut the cord of trying to make it have anything to do with a Flemish red, we said this is just an American red ale that uses these American hops, Chinook and Simcoe, and has malty sweetness and that acidity, and it just kind of became its own thing. Right. So every beer is basically this kind of journey of trying to figure out what the hell we're doing.
So you're just trying to change the BJCP guidelines all the time?
we have a hard time with that whole thing. Like, something like Tropical Brut. I was actually thinking of that yesterday. It's what would you put that?
Where would you
in?
classify it?
Yeah, even when we were trying to name it, we called it a sour dry ale. I don't know if that's the best name for it, but it's kind of
works. So yeah,
Brut is dry.
It's, yeah.
We're trying not to be
sour.
redundant.
There's an ale-ness to it.
Yeah, so we have a hard time just kind of what words, because also the words are very powerful and people, are going to have expectations
Right,
with whatever
yeah.
word. And that's why Brut was kind of a challenge, because it's like people have this expectation of it being very hoppy, and we then had to go to the complete opposite and just say no hops at the beginning. Just from the outset, this beer has no hops in it.
Well, they should see the Blue Owl logo and then know it's going to be good, right?
Right, exactly.
Just put that logo on everything. It's like, oh, okay. What is this? I don't know.
One of the guys I worked with, so like when we did the Van Damme episode, he listened to it. He's like, I never would have like tried them out had you not been down there because I don't like sours. And he came down. He's like, a pretty darn good place. So he's like, I was really impressed with all everything on the menu. I was like, he's not a big sour guy, but you mentioned words earlier, and I noticed that
Words.
cool cidery.
Yeah, what did we put on?
I was loving the descriptions that are on the cans. But it's
You always have those,
cidery.
yeah.
Yeah, we, one of our goals at the beginning was to try to say as much with as little as possible. So we focused very heavily on colors and patterns and let that particular color combination say something about it. And we have talented artists and graphic designers that work for us that try to make that a thing.
Right.
And we knew we had to have descriptions, and I like making up words. So
cidery is not a real word. What?
Yeah, that one's more of closer to a word than some of the other ones that we've come up with. Unrequenching.
What was the one that you misspelled on Van Damme? It was.
Oh, we did. Yeah, we did have an error.
I don't.
You
remember
tried to add it on Urban Dictionary, but it just didn't take off.
We had a misspelled word on Van Damme for a little while.
Is that like your gimmick, like hiding a secret picture and on the cans? Like there's one word that's misspelled on every can. Just try to find it.
As long as it's not on the government warning.
Yeah.
We like to play around and have little things that are kind of little Easter eggs that mean nothing to anybody else, but
That's cool.
It's fun for us.
Nice.
What were some of the first beers that you started doing that you did when you opened Blue Owl?
The core four were Spirit Animal. Spirit Animal is kind of the heart of Blue Owl, and that's why it's called Spirit Animal. Blue Owl was my spirit animal, and this was a very like kind of personal exploration into these styles of beers or this kind of technique. But it was that fascination with, oh shit, you can have a pale ale that tastes still like a pale ale.
Yeah.
And
This is
have some
distinctly
acidity.
pale ale,
It's not this like sour dominant thing that has some hops on it too.
Yeah.
It actually has a malty backbone, has some balance to it, uses the proper hops to give you more flavor, but also has the bitterness, the body, all those kinds of things. So that was kind of the core at it. And then Van Damme, Little Boss, and Professor Black were the core four. And they just, it took so long to kind of come up with those recipes.
Right.
And even then, like we just said, Van Damme didn't work initially. So, really we were trying to cover our bases there with here's your hoppy, sessionable sour beer. Here's your malty one. Here's your very light sessionable one.
Your heavy one.
And then,
super
here's
heavy
your,
with cherries.
Yeah.
Watch out, it's going to explode. So Dapper Devil came out later?
That was the first seasonal that we did because we were trying. This is something.
One of those last night.
I love the Dapper Devil.
One of the prettiest beers I've ever poured.
Oh, yeah.
It's a really nice red. Yeah, I think this is something we've kind of stopped doing nowadays. But
was that your little barrel thing that you were doing, or
Tiny Barrel? No, Dapper didn't come from Tiny Barrel. It came from the fact that we kind of knew that we were trying to introduce sours that were not very typical for what people were expecting. Like, what is a sour pale ale? What is a sour red ale? Is that a Flemish red? What is this sour wheat? But we knew what people really liked, and that's sour fruited beer.
Sours. Yeah.
So we were trying to kind of hold out a little bit on going too heavy on the fruit. with all of our beers coming out of the gates. So we wanted.
But then you were like, let's just fill this thing up with fruit.
Yeah,
It was all that pent up non-fruiting.
Yeah,
It was just like,
God, I gotta get this out sometime.
We're just doing
somehow.
it.
Yeah, and that's actually what this whole year we typically have like themed years when we're brewing, and this year is the year of the fruit. We've held on or kind of held off. We've dabbled. You've seen your Dapper Devils and other things that just have some fruit. Professor Black, we don't really consider that one a fruit beer, of course, but. But this year we're just like, screw it. Let's do everything fruit. Let's go crazy with fruit. Last year we did hops. We released our sour IPA, our sour New England IPA, our smash beers, our smash IPAs.
Do you guys can everything, or
we do now?
Because you had the Dapper Devil in bottles, right, for a long time.
That was dumb. Just came at the wrong time. That's when like bottles and bombers were just bombing on the shelves.
Everybody wants cans.
Yeah, and
something you can have pool cidery.
Yeah,
exactly.
No glass at the pool.
That is a big part of it, and that's why we started with cans. We wanted to have that kind of not lowbrow, but not like highbrow. Taking your cork and cork and cage to the poolside.
Yeah.
You're bringing cans.
The stigma around bottles and cans has changed significantly in the last 5 years.
Flipped.
But when you canned the Dapper Devil, did you have to change the formula so it wouldn't explode or anything? Because I know you had to do that with the Professor Black, right?
Professor Black, we had an issue with initially in that it was exploding. But the cans...
It's exploding with flavor.
That's what I was saying with flavor, yeah.
I don't think any of the cans actually exploded. We were getting a lot of over-carbonated kegs. So, that was one of the things. Coming from a brew pub, you can get away with a lot more stuff because everything's on
margin
site.
varies a little bit bigger.
and bigger margin. So what we had to do was we were adding some of the cherries at the very end of fermentation, like after fermentation, before
and
packaging.
It was restarting.
Yeah, it was kind of restarting.
The sugars were
all that sugar. That yeast isn't done. It's still,
it's still going.
There's sugar in there. We're gonna get it.
Popping cherries.
Yeah, we're doing that.
And they. So once we changed the recipe, you lose all that sweetness from the cherries, and that fermented out. The problem was then it was way out of balance, and you had this dry, bitter, astringent sour beer. So that's when we had to go back and add the milk sugar to it. So that one we actually did change the recipe because if it didn't have the
there wouldn't be that sweetness to it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So now it's a we don't call it this, but it is a sour milk stout, which just seems like an avoidable
sour milk. Yeah, okay. That's not a. That's what I want.
That's the sour milk flavor I was looking for.
We have to avoid certain.
I wasn't expecting to
really
chew.
Tiny fun milk stout.
There are chunks in mine.
There's another one where we want to make, but still haven't gone around. Maybe have chives, but a sour cream ale.
Ooh. Okay.
Great with chips.
That could go one way, I guess.
Yeah, on nachos.
Nacho
or with nachos.
Did you say nachery?
Nachery.
Gotta come up with a new word for it. Yeah.
There you go. All right. So we talked a little bit about how you got started, but how did you really get started? Before Black Star, before all that, what made you want to get into beer? Did you have a Mr. Beer kit? Is that what it was? It's like, oh damn, why isn't this sour?
I don't know if it was Mr. Beer. I think it was Barnes and Noble beer.
Nice.
I think I worked at a Barnes and Noble in college for a little bit, and I bought one of those little beers in a box. And it really was just one can of hopped extract.
It was the extract had the hops already in it.
Yeah.
The Coopers, I guess it was.
Yeah, so that's before I had any interest in. This was in Alabama. I went to high school and college in Alabama, which was not a very good place.
Have I heard about that recently?
Anyway. So Joel keeping it topical.
So what you're saying is, if they had stayed in the beer business, then Barnes and Nobles would be doing pretty good right now.
Maybe so. Yeah. So I got that. So I got the kit. Moved here to Austin in 2003 to go to UT. I was doing engineering. And
did you know Tony?
I was there too. That's when I started at UT.
Yeah. Really? In 2003?
Yeah. Could have been in the same Diffie Q class or something.
Yeah, could have been. I dropped out. Yeah, I came here. I had already done like 4 years in Alabama.
Yeah.
And then came here to try to finish it. And when I got here, I was having too much fun. I was 23 and Austin's awesome.
Yeah.
And it took me a year to finally get residency. And once I got residency, I started on a Monday and I dropped out on that Friday.
Yeah.
I said, nope, not doing this. So
I got to wake up every morning.
So I dropped out of school, went back to Alabama, and then finished my degree, and then started home brewing, and then quickly went to brewing school. And then when I finished that, I did an apprenticeship at Founders, and then moved down here and started working on Black Star.
So you went right after your apprenticeship with Founders. Like, did you work there for how long were you at Founders? Before
It was like 2 months, something like that.
Okay.
Okay, and you were just like, okay, now I'm going to go open my own.
So you didn't hang out with Mike O'Connor?
He's at Live Oak?
Yeah, he's at Live Oak. He does their social media.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I have met. Okay, yeah, I have met him. No, so I was. It's kind of I kind of lied there, but I was already.
Asking the hard-hitting questions.
I was already
here
in
first.
Austin working on Black Star when I finally got around to doing the apprenticeship at Founders. So I went up to Grand Rapids, lived there for a summer, worked there, came back, and then continued working on Black Star. But in that time, I was working at a pharmaceutical company as a chemist.
I believe the term is misremembered. It's not misremembered. I didn't lie. I just misremembered.
Oh, I was thinking it was like a gap summer. You kind of like went to do the
Gap
internship
year,
and then it's sort of a gap
Summer
year.
break. I just went up to Founders to work up there for a couple months.
Nice.
Well, you get all the passes though if you had anything to do with like itinerant dockhand over at Black Star, because like I can walk to Black Star from my house and I just love that beer.
And all the different varieties of it. Yeah.
What different varieties have they had?
What? They have disreputable or?
Oh no, I don't.
and
I
then
don't.
they have
I don't go
the-
to those. I go
Oh,
for
okay.
You know, that's
They have
my
all
that's my jam.
They have all the different dock hands. They
Yeah,
have-
yeah.
But
I
yeah,
go for itinerant.
That whole series was almost directly inspired by Founders.
Oh, okay.
One of the big things I took from Founders was their
fermenter.
yeah.
It was. How did you get it out? Like, I'm not even mad. Yeah. Okay.
like Office Space. How did they get that printer out of the building?
I need to wash it. I got to put this on this flatbed and get it out of here.
There you go.
One of the big things you
We
teach-
usually
sorry.
watch those
Sorry.
here.
What
Yeah.
big lesson you
Yeah.
learned?
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
big-
what did I take from?
How to steal, apparently.
Just they do a lot of variety. They'll do a
Yeah.
lot of variations on one beer. So they'll have kind of a core beer, and then they'll do 3 or 4 different versions of that, and then that really made an impact on me, because then in their tap room, then they have 4 or 5 beers coming from that one beer versus trying to brew completely different beers and that taking up more tanks. So
Right.
from that, I like doing variations on some sort of theme. So the Dockhand series was the Robust Porter. That was kind of my favorite style to brew. And then just how many different directions can you go with that? So it was the same base recipe, and it was recalcitrant Dockhand.
Right. That's it. Yeah.
Oh shit, I can't remember. There's like 4 or 5 of them. And then now Andy, who is the head brewer over there, is doing some other ones, kind of continuing to take the Dockhand series. And I think
There's always a different one when I go there.
Well, you hit so much of the market by doing that, because you start with a great beer and then say, well, some
like-
people want
yeah,
more
so-
of a
yeah,
coffee
here you go.
flavor. Some people want a little bit
And
more
if
sweetness.
Clint's there, he wants some coconut.
No.
Man,
It's me. I want
coconut
the
porter. There you go, all day.
Well, one of the Dockhand series, I did just remember his name, is Rebellious Dockhand.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one.
So that was really one of the first beers that inspired what eventually would become Blue Owl.
Really?
Because it was it was after we were doing Waterloo, which is kind of like a Berliner Weiss kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if we can use this method on this Berliner Weiss, what else can we apply it to? And I was actually tending bar there, talking to some people, and I took some of our Dockhand regular robust porter, and then I took some, I think it was like Lindemann's Framboise, and just mixed them together.
Super fruity.
Yeah,
So
mixed them
good.
together and served them to to somebody sitting at the bar.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of a cool idea. What if we just take recalcitrant dockhand and sour it?
There
I was
you
like,
go.
well, how do you make that? How do you get that to be cohesive? So it was really dry and kind of thin. And we added the raspberries to try to get them to play nice. But that's certainly something that I learned was I tried to hold back on the bitterness, and I also had like normal porter level of body, and it just tasted too dry and unbalanced. So Professor Black basically came from that as a reworked version of Rebellious Dockhand.
What?
Ooh, that is awesome.
You heard it here first, people.
Did you go through different fruits in order to get there, or because you said raspberry, but it sounds like you might have tried other stuff?
Yeah, I know we tried different cherries initially. For whatever reason, we kind of started with the idea of cherry, but we did try different ones to see what would make those flavors play nicest together, and we found the Montmorency cherries.
Yeah, okay.
They're kind of
Jester King's using those right now.
peppery, or not peppery, but kind of cinnamony, spicy kind of thing.
Baking spice. Yeah.
Am I supposed to be aging that Montmorency bottle? Because I am, but okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I really want to drink it.
I don't understand how you can. It's so good.
Oh my God, it's so good. But I also don't want to spend that much money to get
another
one,
bottle.
so.
Yeah. Not to talk about Jester King.
Yeah.
Their bottles are super expensive. But they're so good.
They're so good, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, also Blue Owl, their stuff is good too.
Well, but here's a question. So I know you guys are sour. Do you see yourself also in the farmhouse kind of realm? Or is that completely different?
Though, right? So, but
because they were very adamant that they were
but
not
you're doing
sour.
Yeah, you're doing quick souring versus like wild ales and stuff. But you have some wild ales too, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So no, we're not a farmhouse brewery, and we have dabbled with Saison Pueda, which is on tap right now.
Right.
We have a version of it, and actually we're starting to understand who we are a little more as we go along. And what we know is we have kind of the Blue Owl brand that has been recognized as clean sourness. You know, beers that kind of know what you're getting into when you just read the style of it.
Versus Portland, like
Poolside.
Yeah. But we have those things and we like those things. So early on, we decided, we're really going to focus on the clean sours and kind of just explore that as much as we can explore it. Over time, kind of in the back of the brewery, we have been developing more of a barrel program and using mixed cultures, but we've been letting those things age. We're only 3 years old, so some of those beers have been there for the majority of the time we've been open.
How many barrels are you making a year right now?
2,700, 2,500.
Okay,
that's pretty much.
How far do you guys distribute?
We just signed with a distributor for West Texas, so now in the coming month,
the city, West Texas?
just that one city.
Oh, you're gonna love the kolaches.
So we have all of Texas now, and we send a little bit to California, some of the major cities out there. There's
some good beer for you. No, I guess they got the brewery out there anyway. But.
Well, no, still they need some good beers out there.
They need Texas beer out there.
Yeah,
that's what
maybe
need.
so. It's a hard market to crack. I mean, you're kind of going to big boys.
Yeah, they got a lot
market
of stuff out there.
Yeah, people who are satisfied with Pacifico. Shots fired.
I don't know. Their brewery scene has blown up pretty recently. Yeah. I mean, they got Smog City, they got the brewery, all that. But they'd still probably prefer Texas beer, I think. So, if they tried it, it's like what have we been drinking? This is not even good.
So that's a good
not
lead
made in Texas.
That's a good lead into a topic I would bring up today.
Here we go.
So we have some friends over at the Texas Beer Labs.
Oh yeah, East Labs.
Sorry. And they partnered with one of my favorite restaurants in Texas. It's my favorite in San Antonio,
Longhorn?
Southerly.
Oh.
And they have just this weekend released the first all made in Texas beer.
What? That's my idea.
It was your idea. And I was reading the article and I was like, does Ross know about this?
I'm trying to get those hops.
Wanted to drop it. So they partnered with hops out of, I think, Somerset.
Yeah.
And
there's an Austin-based
Braunfels yeast.
Yeah.
And then
their
the malts
yeast,
out
Blacklands.
Blacklands, yeah. And every single ingredient is from Texas. And it just debuted Friday.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm wondering.
Man, my Texas Smash. It's not going to be.
Yeah, it's not going to be
the
first
now.
But You know,
I'll still say it's first, but.
Do you see people? I'm sure just because of where you're located, you see a lot of tourists and people from outside of Texas. But how does that kind of impact what you guys do? Is it a local Austin market? Is it something where you're going for a specific? I just don't know where the question is going. But like,
sometimes I start saying something and I don't even know.
Well, what I think what you're saying
hey, thank you for that.
What I think you said
is no, we're not necessarily. The core is not necessarily specific to Austin or specific to Texas.
Regional, I think, is what you're.
Yeah. That's a ticket.
Yeah, there you go.
I think the core of Blue Owl is this kind of creative exploration of what it means to be sour, and that transcends, whether.
So would you call it transcendent?
There you go.
So we actually do get a lot of people. Austin is fantastic for Blue Owl because that's kind of like. I mean, I've lived here almost 20 years, and this is kind of a natural culmination of
keep Austin weird.
Trying to
keep Austin sour.
Well, I would say the weirdness does open up the people who were willing to try a sour beer. Because like in San Antonio, I can't think of many people from there who would like a sour. But also, like you up to Dallas, and I mean, I don't see that.
Martin House
is
Fort Worth.
Well, you're right.
They do a lot of kettle sours.
Because up the street, there's a gas station that has kombucha on tap.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's gasoline.
No.
Unleaded. No premium or the other one. And then it's
kombucha. Right there. You're filling up your car.
Wait, for 10 cents more, I can get
one for
a
you,
gallon
one
of
for me.
kombucha? It's like, I'll do that.
I brought my own pitcher.
I have my SCOBY in the back.
So the core of Blue Owl is not necessarily based for like the whole Texas local thing. You're thinking more.
Right. So there's a natural synergy behind that kind of regardless, because we're from Austin. It's these beers are meant to be refreshing. They're a little more creative. You got to be more willing to step out and try something that maybe you haven't had before. We are from and are of Austin, Central Texas. But I think, somebody from Pittsburgh could come down here and
oh no,
like
keep those Steelers out.
Yeah, you got Tony started on that one.
They could come down here and I think immediately get what we're trying to do if they see the playful character, the creative character. If they're that type of person too, they don't have to be from Austin. Just most of the people in Austin tend to vibe with that really well.
You're saying it's that personality, just that I don't know.
Je ne sais quoi. It's a je ne sais quoi.
Or the Austin culture just lends itself to being like more open to things that aren't part of the norm.
Mainstream.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's not strictly
East
Austin because people in other areas are weird.
That's something we had to consider when we started talking about distribution is, is somebody in Houston going to be, what is, is Houston
they don't
like
have,
Austin? Is Dallas like Austin? Are there people up there that can connect to it, or are they just complete aliens? We've had to kind of understand that
They're
as
fine with their eighth wonder. Drinking all that haterade.
Yeah.
Is it easy to do like market research in that, or is it just like, hey,
how do you do? Do you just
or
hope for the best,
beer
or like
festivals? I mean, there's like
I guess you could do that.
beer
Yeah,
festivals like show up.
there's
there
one
to
out in
see
Katy
how
out
well
there.
it's a-
You just go out there and get drunk. We seriously will.
I brought a 6-pack, guys. Made it myself.
Brand ambassadors.
Yeah, that's everyone around this table knows how to go drink and have a good time and enjoy a city. So we would just. Before we went to Houston, before we went to Dallas, we would just made multiple trips up there and then, just hang out and kind of see what the scene is and see who the kind of influential
the big
bars or brew pubs or things like that, and just kind of get to know it. And they always, it has a different feel when you're in Houston and kind of going around or Dallas. So we're not exactly necessarily that whole city's cup of tea, but
that was something that I found interesting when we went up to Fort Worth, how much of a scene was developing up there. Like some really amazing breweries that in my mind I saw Fort Worth as more of a cattle town, like not really adventurous in terms of food or beer. But
I can see that.
That's changing. It's
Yeah,
slowly
they
changing.
have
changing.
a lot like burgeoning.
it's growing.
Yeah, craft beer movement in there.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
they have Wild Acre, they have Martin House, they have Funky Picnic about to open up. But and
Panther Island
RAR,
was a lot of fun.
Panther Island
Yeah.
is amazing. RAR.
Yep.
You think of from an Austin perspective, it's like, oh, I don't know where to go in Dallas.
Yeah,
Fort
no, I
Worth.
understand.
But there are options, and I think those people come down here and they see like, oh, I'm going to hang out in the East Side, and there are so many
Right,
like,
yeah.
places.
Just
It's
the
like,
neighborhood, yeah.
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 Like, I guess with you guys also being a part of the Barks for Beers.
Oh, yeah.
Like, are you guys seeing a lot of business coming from that as well?
Yeah, we see a ton of people coming through that have either never been here or was looking, maybe hadn't been here in a while, and stop in and then get their one beer and then try a sample of a few more.
One and go.
It's surprisingly easy to get to. I was really worried, like how I hate coming downtown most oftentimes,
yeah.
but it's right here. I just exit the highway, take a left, you're there.
Yeah, it's
I
close
passed
to
one in a
downtown.
million.
Oh yeah,
That's how I saw it on the
I didn't
map,
know.
yeah.
I was like, oh, I've been right here before. It's like,
I've passed some of my favorite.
Most of the Tropical Brut.
So typically at this point where we finished our first beer, we like to give our hot takes on first beer. Like, is it a 1 or a 0?
we work on a binary scale. It's either
Yeah.
you'll drink it or you won't drink it.
Yeah, because we messed around, like, oh, is it a 6 out of 10? Is it a? And there were some people with IPAs, and IPA is always going to be a 0. It's
Yeah.
way too hoppy.
Sure.
And we've seen people where,
Well,
for
for Clint,
sours, we've seen people
Clint
with
is raising his
sours
hand.
where a sour is always going to be a 0. And I think something like this is a very interesting beer
I have
drink.
to admit, the Spirit Animals is 0 for me.
Is that
But I love everything
Is that the sour pale ale?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the
This
one.
is a pale
And
ale.
for me, that one is
We
a 0.
paired that with Macron's,
But-
which a couple weeks later, after we released our episode, some Blue Owl was doing a Macron's and beer pairing. I don't know. what
Coincidence?
happened
Is
there.
that a
Yeah.
coincidence?
But I mean, coming back to this one, I mean, I'll
Tropical
start it
Brut.
off. This is definitely a 1 for me.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that there are no hops in it. The fruitiness is really, really lovely. It finishes nice and dry and clean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a 1.
Yeah, that dryness really lends itself to making you want to take another drink and just enjoy it. I like the sour aspect of it, and it's very, very juicy. Also, I love it.
Oh,
I love the
yeah,
juice
definitely
to it. Yeah,
But I think one of the questions also is this sessionable? Like, we don't typically sit and drink 3 sour beers in a same setting.
for yourself.
What is the alcohol content in this?
8%.
7.
Wait, no. Oh.
Is it really?
7? Really?
Wow.
It
Oh,
does
because it's a
not
brew.
feel like it is.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because of the brute.
Yeah.
So it eats up all that sugar.
Yeah, we kind of realized
Wow.
when it finally came out that it could be dangerous.
There's like almost no alcohol taste to it. Like
Yeah,
you
that
get
is
higher in
very
ABVs,
dangerous.
you get that alcohol. It's like, oh yeah, this is high ABV. It's like, but it just tastes like a cider maybe. It's like,
Well, and with what we talked about previously, with it being like pool
Fruity and
cidery,
dry,
like
yeah.
this is something I could sit around
but
drinking.
it's not pool cidery. It's pool cidery
Yeah, it's
Oh,
not a
nice.
cider.
Good catch.
per
at the
se,
pool.
but-
Yeah, when we realized how kind of drinkable it was and how that dryness and saltiness, I mean, that was kind of the intention was to make it very refreshing. The problem was we brewed it,
refreshing
and then
7%.
We started
Yeah.
drinking like 2 or 3 of them in a setting, and then already started feeling it.
Yeah.
And we were like, shit, do we need to lower the alcohol?
Put a sign
in
on the
it,
front
or-
door like this is 7%.
Yeah, by itself, 7% isn't huge beer.
No, but if you
when
make it
have
so
as-
crushable,
Yeah.
so it's like you could just drink one. You could drink 6 of these probably in a sitting, and it's like that's dangerous. That's
Yeah, you
bad.
should put a label like May. Sorry.
Or like make the can like bright red and with an extreme look out, I don't know, warning sign on it.
I was thinking like a warning.
Slap a sticker.
It's pink, It
It is pink.
bright colors in the animal kingdom mean danger.
like a flamingo. Danger.
You do not want to fuck
very
with a
aggressive.
flamingo. Yeah.
Look at how it's on one leg.
It's got that other one to
some
kick your
bitch.
ass.
Yeah. It's in like crane style, like Danielson.
Danielson.
I was just thinking they put it on the front yard
Shake the
and you
leg.
could have a sign that says "Beware of flamingos."
Yeah.
Do we all give
One's all around. Joel,
Joel,
you're
did
a
you
wine
get
guy?
Yeah, that's what I was
I
trying
don't
to
know.
do.
What are your thoughts?
I don't know, Joel. Did you?
I like it a lot. So I was a little worried when I saw the can. It said the Brut because I've had a couple because it seems to be the trend recently. Yeah, they were okay. And then I read the bottom of it, and it has the sour dry, and I was like, okay, a little bit of dryness. So let's see how this goes. 2 for 0 for 2. And then I don't like sours normally, but I really like this because and I've always liked everything from Blue Owl that I've had so far because the stuff that we would get at Flying Saucer, it was usually a little bit heavy and sour, and it was very at the end of the night.
Belgian sour.
It was it was at the end of the night. This is what we're gonna drink.
Yeah.
It's a dessert beer.
After a few beers, dessert beer. Exactly, that's how I would call it. A couple times. And then we went to we had Blue Owl on the podcast a couple times, and then we went to the Austin Beer Festival thing, and they've all been great. And this is great. I think the dryness, something really unique to it because it's dry. But it's not over dry. It's not
It's still got
it's
that
not like
sweetness.
A brew. There's that sour sweetness to it.
That just juicy sour stuff.
Yeah, the juice. Yeah.
But it's also almost more like a tropical goza than
With
what I mean?
saltiness
It's got that
also.
minerality.
Yeah,
that
the salty,
saltiness
yeah.
to it,
So the sour and salty combination.
It's funny because I didn't realize the salt.
Clint's
until
gonna be
Jeff
drinking
brought
it all
up,
day
and
then.
then at the very end, it was there's kind of a salty.
Yeah. When you said it, it was like, oh, there it is. Yeah. I get
That's-
it. Maybe the
yeah.
power suggestion, but
Yeah.
Well, it
there
kinda
was
came from
something in there. But
we drink a lot of carbonated water here, Topo Chico,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and let's be honest, the
Minerality.
HEB brand carbonated water. And I think one of the most important things that people maybe don't think about or don't give enough credence to would be, just how much flavor comes from the minerals in water.
oh yeah, the
Oh,
water.
absolutely.
Oh, the water is so important.
Well, that was the first thing you brought up was the mineral water that you used with this. That you were doing something with it.
Yeah, and it's there is the gozas that kind of go above and beyond
Super salty.
oftentimes with saltiness, but you can have minerality and it plays some sort of contributing flavor without it being a dominant flavor.
That's actually the real secret is they start this with just the Topo Chico water. They just all pour.
Yeah, but speaking of water, I think a lot of beer drinkers don't understand, don't even care, but it's one of the basic building blocks of your beer.
Absolutely.
It's like when we started home brewing, it was like oh, okay, and then we were like, oh, we'll use this water, and it's like we got more into it. It's like, well, this is really important. We really have to make sure, because that's what you're starting with. That's where you're not saying that's where your flavor comes from. But if you have bad water, you're going to taste it in the end.
Yeah,
Well, and that's why you had to start importing your water from Munich, to just get that
German, it's got that minerality to it. It's
Not that
perfect.
dirty Pflugerville water. Clint's
Hey,
bar.
better than Houston water.
Oh
Oh
man.
man!
You can taste it.
There's parts of you. Yeah, no, but yeah, okay,
All right, smash.
yeah.
Let's do it.
Detroit Smash.
So
Welcome back, everybody.
back into it.
Yeah, we took a little hiatus, but thanks to the magic of editing, you might not notice it. So, Jeff, what are we drinking next?
So we're going to have kind of a side-by-side tasting here. So we're drinking two Smash beers.
Okay.
We're all familiar with Smash being single malt
right, okay.
and single hop. We take it one step further and we sour mash, which is the first
Smash. Yeah, there you go.
So sour mash, single malt, and single hop. The idea is to try to understand what the acidity does to these specific hop that you're familiar with, whether it's Citra or Mosaic or something like that.
Yeah.
Because what we really find interesting is how the acidity does change the characteristic of the hop or does something to it, whether it makes it more juicy or makes it more citrusy.
And you guys sour mash. I know it's on the can and everything, but that's not actually what makes everything sour, right? Would
Yes,
that help?
it is.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
You inoculate it with lactobacillus, right?
We use natural wild
From the
inoculant
grains,
from
right?
the grain
Okay,
itself.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so you can use lab cultures. You can kind of culture your own. We use the naturally occurring bacteria that's found on grain itself as the inoculant. and that changes.
Right, which is something that if you're not making a sour, you kind of have to look out for.
Yeah, you would typically boil.
That's why you
something
mash
or keep
it
high
at higher.
temperatures. Yeah. So we mash in as per usual, but then inoculate it using the grain. And, that grain has different cultures on it that change over time. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing about this Smash Mash series is we're using different grains too. And when we use those different grains, we get a different sour character.
Right.
Sometimes it's more sour, sometimes it's less sour, sometimes it will be hazier or clearer. So when we use these grains, we don't quite know what we're going to get.
Right.
And then we try it out. And we just run with it. That's Smash Mash. So Smash Mash, there's a series of 3. The first one that we don't have here is the El Dorado and Golden Promise.
2 of my favorites.
Yeah,
right
that was a really great one. That was Smash Mash 1. It was really rich and juicy. Smash Mash
Sounds
2
like it would be, yeah.
is, so that's the one we have here. We have Smash Mash 2.
Which is the lighter one?
Yes. So that's Citra and Proximity Pilsner malts.
Ooh. Okay.
And that's from Colorado.
I noticed the noses on them are vastly different.
Yeah, they really are.
So which one are we going for first?
The Smash
lighter one.
2 is a little bit more of what I think of like more, Citra hops is a fairly more common hop, right?
Yeah. It's got that juiciness of the hop, really. It really accentuates it. Do you dry hop anything, or is it just all in the beer?
Everything's dry hopped.
Okay.
Because
it's hard to
Spirit
do.
Animal and like everything's double dry hopped.
Okay.
Actually, I know that's a common thing that DBH now that people use, but that's just kind of common practice for hoppy
because
beers.
because does it affect the sourness if you had the hops right in there, like right in the boil?
No, so we hop after it has been soured. So that allows the sourness to get to whatever level we want the sourness to get to, and then we can get whatever bitterness level that we want to get. And sometimes we have pretty bitter beers, and that's not common. That's something that people don't necessarily think you can do with sour beers.
Right, yeah.
But it's something that we kind of took on as a challenge, is trying to understand what happens when you do have like a sour IPA. Is your sour IPA going to actually be bitter? Because that's kind of the definition of an IPA. Otherwise, it's just a sour beer that has a lot of hops in it.
Right.
So we wanted to experiment with what does it mean and how do you balance those things, and can you balance those things? And we've had some success and we've had some failures, and I think we've kind of learned along the way. The Smash Mash series are a little different because they actually don't have any bittering hops in them. It's all Whirlpool and dry hop.
And you wanted them side by side so we could drink one and then drink the next one and kind of compare against each other?
Yeah, because I mean they're the same recipe in that we use the same amount of grain and the same amount of hops. We use 2,200 pounds of grain and 88 pounds of hops. And all we do is change which malt it is, which hop it is, and of course sour with the corresponding malt. And getting the diversity there is really cool. And we enjoy doing these kinds of series side by side because these are also hops that we use in a lot of other beers. So El Dorado is most common in Spirit Animal. Simcoe is most common in Van Dam. And then Citra is the main hop in Hop Totem. So we're kind of deconstructing these beers and focusing on really what does that individual hop do with that acidity.
Which is a good reason to make a smash if you've never made a beer with, or if there's a new hop out, then you can really see how those flavors play with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because all the hops have many different flavors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we really get to know the hops, and I certainly have my favorites. There's some in the series that I thought turned out really cool or weren't expecting that, and other ones where I'm like, okay, that's all right, but probably wouldn't do that one again.
Yeah.
These both taste really good to me, but this darker one is heads and shoulders above the other one to me. Really,
Smash Mash
got shampoo
3
in it,
is that
or?
what this?
The darker one is Smash
3?
Mash 3, so that uses Blacklands.
Blacklands.
Oh yeah,
So
I'm
the-
definitely
I
liking
think-
this.
I think
I'm on the same boat.
thing
Got some
I
bitterness to
appreciate-
it. That
I like that
it-
bitterness.
but the bitterness isn't overly lingering or overly strong. It's just there, which I don't mind. And then also just the hop forwardness is much more subdued than Smash 2.
I really prefer the second one myself, but
you prefer Smash 2?
Yeah.
Well, but I think that's part of the experimentation that Jeff was talking about, like that you could start with a similar bill, similar percentages, but just tweak them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think this is a perfect example of, the nuance there. Everybody might like something different. Something might ring, true for them.
And we could have the right way of looking at it.
Sure.
Or if you just hate Mosaic and you do a Mosaic.
Some people do hate Mosaic.
Yeah.
I hate Mosaic.
I always laugh at like rating systems. Like people go, it's like, well, I gave this beer like 99 out of 100. And it's like, well, what does that mean? It's like, it means that person really liked that beer. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to like it.
No, yeah.
But that person really liked that beer.
That's a good question. So do you find that you guys follow and respond to like the what's the beer app that we have? Untappd. Do you follow any
Also
of that
Beer
feedback?
Advocate.
Beer Advocate, yeah.
I don't trust Beer Advocate stuff, but Untappd, yeah, I do.
Are they not on beer?
I don't know where those people are.
I know.
It could be owned by AB InBev.
I personally, almost every day we'll go through Untappd, we'll go through Beer Advocate, we'll go through Yelp, and take all the feedback. It's free feedback.
Right.
Yeah, which can be hard to get when you have your business.
I mean, they don't all have
especially
podcasts, so-
unsolicited. Like that, because if we're sitting here talking, you're probably going to be a little nicer to me than
Fuck you, Jeff.
That's what I want. That's the realness that you need. Because,
and people are going to say,
is, "Fuck you, Jeff."
Yeah,
It's like, fuck you. What
they don't
was
look
this?
in your face. They'll say whatever they feel.
I've gone
they're
back
hiding
to
behind-
Middle America from my trip, and I didn't know what I was getting, and I got the wrong thing, and it's your fault that I got the wrong thing.
We get that a
Coors
lot.
Light I'm drinking is so much better.
It's
3.2%.
It's fascinating to me. Once you kind of grow a thicker skin and you get used to like people judging you off of certain
Social
things
media.
like that. Yeah, social media in general. You get some really you can get value out of all that data. And sure, we're going to get some that are like, I think we had one yesterday where it's like, "Wee Beastie, what the fuck?" And, half a star. And then other ones that
Some
are like,
people don't like Scottish beers.
The sun was in my eyes when I was sitting on the porch. 1 star.
get a lot of that. But I do find it, you have to kind of take all that in and get what the majority of the people are kind of thinking, because on average, they're probably pretty accurate for what the community thinks of that beer.
Do you guys do a lot of like the Great American Beer Festival or anything like that? Do you guys do those? Like,
Yeah, we've gone to GABF each year since it's opened, or since we've opened. I don't think we're going to go back again this year. We start seeing kind of diminishing value coming from the clusterfuck that is.
Yeah, I mean,
Everything's going to be in that one sour category. You can't spread it around.
Oh, yeah, and as far as like the
This pale ale, this is sour. This is not the style. Nope.
yeah, again, all that has value too. When we get really shitty reviews, we're kind of like, you get butt hurt, but then you're also like, okay, well,
How can we do it better?
yeah.
Do we need to do it better?
Just got to be open and honest and say, do we think that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, maybe the guy was right. Maybe this isn't the best we could do. So let's try to do it better.
We should have our own festival. Only one question. Is it from Austin? Boom. You get an award.
the local award.
I guess talking about the Smash Mash again, I was kind of disappointed with Smash Mash 3 with the Simcoe.
Is that this one?
Yeah, so that's a little bit darker
And
one.
that's crazy because that's the one we prefer.
I like it too.
Is it
I like it too.
because the hop is more subdued than say Smash 2,
Yeah.
or is it some other element that you don't really like about it?
all of that and more too.
Yes.
When I try Smash Mash 2, I get a very I always think of beer flavors and kind of like treble and bass, high notes and low notes and harmony and how it goes together. I knew Citra is kind of the high note star of the show.
Oh, yeah.
And I really like that high note, but what I don't like about Smash Mash 2 is it doesn't have necessarily any, co-actors, what are they called?
Supporting actors.
Supporting actors, yeah. It doesn't have necessarily the supporting actors there to really like
bring it
well-rounded
up
and give it a platform to be on.
2 leads, Citra hops and sourness.
Yeah.
Like that's
Hey, they knocked it out of the park. They are as if it was Academy Award winner Matthew McConaughey in a one-man play.
Exactly.
And he just owned the show.
All right.
So I think it's very like kind of one-dimensional, but I really like that dimension. So for me, that's kind of nice. I like that it is that. Whereas the Simcoe is more well-rounded as a hop, but doesn't have that distinct high note that stands out to me.
Okay.
Now that I'm saying this out loud, it's kind of like I maybe like them equally.
I was about to
different
say,
ways.
you have love for both of your children.
Well,
he has
you
strong,
made them,
he has strong
right?
critiques for both
Yeah.
of
For
them.
my children, yeah.
When they're yours.
But I feel like that's a better way to go about things, is having strong critiques. Like, I can do this better. I can find some other way to make this accentuate that hop a little bit more on this one.
Well, and especially with the Smash Mash series, right? That open, like having that mindset of being critical allows you to think about like, okay, so what could you add or take away or modify in order
In
to
the
make
next
this
one.
into a permanent beer, right?
Ooh,
Or
I like
something
that
that
idea because with your push towards the experimentation, like that you
Experimentation?
can- experimentation, patent pending. That you could you take the feedback and you say, okay, I liked this from 2 and this from 3, and then your next one becomes a meld of the 2.
Yep. Or you just add like an element in, and you're like,
Absolutely.
that makes it so much better. That
Absolutely.
complements it so well. So,
Yeah, in the hop series that we're doing, we start with in the year we start with "Can't Quit You."
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Which is a collaboration of that's with me and Blue Owl and Black Star. Andy, the head brewer that took over after me, he's a good friend of mine, and we get drunk and a lot. And the idea was like I'm leaving Black Star, but I can't quit you guys. So this was like the first collab that we did.
Nice.
And the idea again was also because they have a smaller system and less writing on any particular batch. We thought, well, let's go extreme on this one. Let's just make it bitter, or let's just add a shit ton of hops. And
Who
hope
is that
works.
making it for? Is that you? Is that Andy? Or
So it was brewed at Black Star initially.
No.
smaller
I
system.
mean, for like the profile, like, are you the hop profile? Is Andy the hop profile? Because we've interviewed people before who like a guy over at North by Northwest,
Flavor
Dave was like all
He
about
just
the
flavor hops.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you the hops guy or is that Andy? Because
It's
I
a-
feel like it's like one guy is like, let's put all the fucking hops we can.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Some
I wish
people-
I had a
yeah,
good
some
answer
people
for
are
you,
like
but I think it's kind of neither of us because what both of us are
You want
interested
to make
in
it
trying to find
balanced,
out.
or
No, we're just trying to see what the fuck happens.
That is the
that's
best
a
answer.
good yes.
yeah, that's the best
I don't know.
experiment.
Wait, this is a PG?
really,
You're gonna have to bleep that.
So
Balanced
because
as all
we were
things should be.
because we were trying to it was a smaller batch size and it doesn't cost a brew pub because of their margins. We can add a lot of hops and it's not a big deal. So we were just like, screw it. Let's just add a ton of hops. Let's try to make it hazy. Let's do this whole thing and see what happens because we hadn't done that. We hadn't gone to the extreme. We did the pale ale, spirit animal. And then we're like, well, can you do a sour IPA? And then we came up with Hop Totem.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, can you do a sour double IPA? And that's what initially Can't Quit You was. Now it turned into the hazy IPA. But it really, it's just kind of a fascination with how far can you push it, what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And what you were saying is exactly right with kind of the deconstruction of these flavors or ingredients and then bringing them back together. So Can't Quit You basically uses just all the hops we have, put them all together, all the different kinds, Eldorado, Simcoe, Citra, Mosaic, puts them all together, Smash Mash deconstructs them, and we try them one by one. And then Hop Totem is meant to be the ideal balance.
Perfect meld of,
Yeah,
all the flavors.
And did you say Hop Totem was 2 at a time, or when you say the balance, is it like you pick the top 2 and do that?
2 hops
or
how
3.
many?
3? Okay.
So we've done. We're not exactly sure how we're going to brew it this year. We were kind of waiting to try these different smash mashes, but it uses. So the 2 smash mashes we have here are a pale malt and a pilsner malt, and you can see the difference. You can taste. There's more body in the pale, but it can also be kind of a little too full bodied, like it can be too sweet or too rich. The pilsner could be too light, too thin. With Hop Totem, I think the recipe is like half and half. It's half pilsner, half pale, because we find that blend works really well. And then it starts, Citra is the high note in Hop Totem. And then it has, it's supported by something like El Dorado, which is very rich and well-rounded. That's kind of the heart of it. And then there's just a little dash of Simcoe, which brings that kind of grassy, a little more kind of West Coasty kind of thing, but just a little bit for complexity.
I always think of West Coast hops as just very green. That's what I've always thought of. Like I always picture just
piney and resinous.
Yeah, just green. Like it just eating a forest.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why it's a little surprising that I prefer Smash Mash 3 to 2.
I was surprised.
But I'm not getting piney and resiny.
Yeah, same here.
I get it on the nose.
There's a bitterness, but it's not like that.
It is significantly
Christmas tree
less
flavor
aromatic than the Smash 2.
Yeah, and that's
It is,
I find that fascinating because it's the same amount,
of hops
added in the same way, but they just have different characters, and those different compounds somehow like either stand out or don't, or kind of translate into something different. So that's why I think these are so fascinating, because you really get to know the hop during that. And Simcoe always kind of surprises us. I don't really know what Simcoe is, because is it a West Coast piney? Not really, but it might have some aspects of it, but it also has that kind of stone fruity, peachy.
But then that bitterness. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say it's West Coast at all, really.
Simcoe sounds like something you need to see on Ren and Stimpy, just like a generic name of a product.
The makers of Log.
Simcoe. New best friend. Log.
Log.
Log from Blammo.
There you go.
So we
Between
recently
the 2, Smash 2 is my favorite. I'm just
I would throw that in.
Same.
There?
I'm there.
That was the lighter one, right?
the lighter one.
Yeah.
Well, they're both delicious.
Oh no, yeah.
Am I the decider here?
No, you are not.
You're never the decider.
I like how you thought you had that power. We're gonna take that away from you right now.
When I think of beer,
Is this what beer should taste like?
When I think of power, I think of me.
So recently we worked with North by Northwest and tasted their CBD infused IPA.
yeah.
Do you see any impact on what you do and CBD oils or legalization of marijuana? It's something we bring up to people because, hops being a similar
It's a cannabis family.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's cousins,
We always like to
basically.
ask people just in case they do have strong opinions on it. I mean, we don't have overly strong opinions.
Is there going to
but-
be a sour weed beer?
Yeah.
Probably one day. But no, I have no particular interest in it now personally.
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested in seeing what other people come up with. And I don't have a strong feeling.
What's Lagunitas going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Weed flavored Black Swan.
Have they not already done something with it?
They've done a few things. They actually have hop water now, which is hop flavored water.
We used to do that at Black Star, actually, because I loved sparkling water.
Yeah.
We would carbonate our own water, but would dry hop it in the keg. So we would just have like Centennial or something like that. And it just tastes like
Maybe if
sparkling
you have-
water. With a little bit
Wait.
of
So
floral.
that's just straight water, but dry hopped.
dry hopped water.
If you have like a fruit forward
Carbonated.
hop or something, I could see doing, or with the Citra, really, that would be.
That should be really nice.
Like a little orangey.
I could see
bit
that being
to
good.
it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and we used to sell that. It got so popular. We started selling our own sparkling hopped water.
Dry hopped water.
Dry hopped water, yeah.
ABW
really
does
good.
their sparkling water. It's not hopped though, but
So what hops were y'all tossing in it back when y'all were doing that?
I know it was Centennial was
Uh-huh.
one of them. There was some hop called Meridian that we used to play around with.
Yeah.
Nowadays here on tap, sometimes if we have a tap open, we call it Grandma Jeff's Sparkling Iced Tea. So we'll make.
Wait.
I just want to
unpack
try
that.
that.
Let's unpack that a little bit.
Well, there's actually more to the title. So it's Grandma Jeff's Sparkling Iced Tea, just like Grandma Jeff used to make it and still does. That's the full name of it. And we take 31 gallons of iced tea and carbonate it, keg it up, and then serve it on draft.
I think just the carbonated iced tea has me intrigued.
It's really good.
then- yeah.
I'll put there's a little bit of sugar in there. There's a little bit of orange peel. We'll put a little orange zest in there. So yeah, it's just iced sun tea. I grew up drinking sun tea.
Yeah, cut the sweetness
carbonated.
a little bit with that orange peel. Yeah,
Good.
It's not on tap today though. Huh?
It's not.
Damn. Okay.
People come in and ask for it. Yeah, people ask if the Grandma Jeff's on.
All right, well,
It's-
just
it's gonna be-
check to see if it was on tap.
It's gonna have to be one of your cans one day.
Yeah.
I feel like you could have that
Core.
hopped water at AA meetings, like just people who are trying to ease off. of
No, I don't think that.
go.
No, you don't want to. Yeah.
It's not like the fucking cigarette
patches.
patches.
That's what I was thinking, the
Jill,
patches.
are you trying to say the hop water is like a methadone? Like,
Supposed to totally avoid.
Hey,
that.
we'll do a drip bag. You can do a drip bag. $20, 25. We got margin. We got to do margin.
Bubbles would not like that. He was,
Getting back to Blue Owl.
oh yeah, we're at Blue Owl.
Yeah. So one thing in your tap room for people who haven't been, you actually have a different kind of setup in terms of sales. You pick a size of glass, and then that entitles you to multiple beers, and you pay an upfront cost.
and I heard it was called a sensory experience.
Oh, is that that's the tour,
Or is that something
that's
different?
the self-guided tour. That's a little bit
Yes.
Is
different.
that like an escape room?
Yeah.
They lock you in the brewery, and
I
you're
would-
going to get really drunk, and you have to leave.
I forgot to escape.
That's not a
No,
pint glass.
I was going to
guys.
ask, like, what was like kind of the underlying thought process behind that? Is it to encourage people to try the
different
different
one? Right,
elements
yeah.
of sours, basically?
To
Is
be
that-
honest, to clarify here, the impetus is actually because we legally can't sell you beer. So if you remember Austin a few years ago, before some legislation changed, if you were to go to Austin Beer Works, you'd buy a glass and get a few tokens, that kind of thing. We're doing that.
Okay.
And it's a very similar reason, but it's not a TABC issue. It's just the city of Austin, the location we're at. We're not a bar.
Is
But
it
we
because
can-
of the neighborhood around you?
Yeah, just the zoning. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
the zoning that we're in, we can't sell you beer, but we can give you beer for free.
So you're just a
it's-
production brewery, but you also have
we have a
tap
tasting room where people
Tasting-
can
there
come
you go.
in and try things.
Yeah, okay. that makes sense.
So when you think of it in those terms, that's kind of
Gotcha. That makes more sense.
I'm so confused. So it's not exclusive to the tour. It's if you come in, you just say, "Hey,
Yeah.
here's some money." Like if you were playing, like what was it? The
Texas
balls?
Hold'em.
Pinballs. If we did
Pinball.
pinballs, you just get like a card, and then you just like slide
I
it
mean,
down.
yeah, kind of like, so they do give you a little pamphlet thing that has all their beers on it, and they like kind of keep track what you've had. But no, it's straight up like you're buying the glass,
Okay.
and the beer is what you're getting.
we give you free beer to try.
yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha. Texas is so backwards.
It's they just have these
just archaic.
they just have these loopholes, like in
Well,
this
but
case.
that's stupid. Well,
Working
like
the
in your
loophole.
case, I'm going to sell you a glass. Well, this is not. I mean,
Because
I
I
love the
can't just-
artwork on the glass, but this is not a $17 glass, or I'm not sure how much it costs.
right.
I think it's
Versus,
$24.
like, it is not.
Why
worth
can't we just
$25 to
go
play
up
poker?
front and just sell you the beer?
yeah.
I was like, no, can't do it.
So
No.
it's like escorts. You can't pay for sex, but you can pay for companionship.
A date.
That's how it works, right? You don't
I'm
pay
not
for-
familiar with Joel. I don't know.
I don't know this lifestyle that you're living, Joel.
Yeah.
So
You don't pay for sex. You pay for companionship.
No, Joel. You pay him to leave.
no, all
Yeah.
right. So you're not selling.
So
guys,
you're not a brew pub. You're a production brewery.
We
It's
just
what we're
went
getting
way
to
off the track.
with
Jeff
this-
is like, "What did I get into?"
Well, so
I feel like there was a question 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, there was. Let him answer.
So technically, yes, we are actually a brewer. So all this is kind of like asinine
bullshit,
like trying to
TABC.
deal with the
letter
codes
of the
and
law,
things to
rather than
get
the
to
spirit of the
some
law.
experience. So the ultimate experience is because we are a manufacturing, distributing brewery, but we want an on-site experience.
Of course.
And for coming in here, we're not a bar. We're not trying to sell you liquor. We're not. We're really just trying to get you to try our beers, have this kind of connection with us. Take that with you, and buy other stuff.
That's probably the best way to get people into sour beers. Because if you didn't have like a taproom experience, it's like, I don't know what this. I've never had this. This is sour. I don't want to try.
I know
this.
there's a
But you
bunch-
can hold on. But you can sell beer to go with.
Yes.
Okay.
Because they're not drinking it.
Did that change? Because Shiner.
Yeah, well,
So we are actually a brew pub. So we can do, according to the state, we can do everything a brew pub does.
Right.
But it's a zoning thing in particular.
Yeah, gotcha.
Now, are you limited by volume?
So confusing.
No, this is city ordinance versus.
No.
still.
As
I'm
a
just
brew
asking
pub.
as a brew pub.
Yeah,
Like, I know you
So-
said 2,700 previously, but is there like a 5,000 cap on
It's
on barrels?
10,000. I think each brew pub can do 10,000 now.
10,000. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I don't think in the space we have we can get near that. So yeah, it's trying to understand what experience we're trying to achieve and making sure people get that. But then we just have to behind the scenes figure out how to make that work with legalities and zoning and things like that.
All right,
But so it's kind of weird. It has worked to our benefit, I think, in a lot of cases, and other times it hasn't. When somebody comes in and just wants a beer, we're like, "I'm sorry, we can't."
Yeah.
Or try
You have
a
to buy
couple
a few.
things, and even then, we'll still give them free beer to try.
Or just
Right.
Tasters.
or just get the
Yeah.
get the 4 ounce glass because I
once
think
you
that's
try it-
not that the 4 ounce glass isn't that much, and so you just fill that multiple times,
yeah,
4
just try
times
that.
with the same
Yeah.
beer.
So
But I think I saw that on your reviews that there were a couple of people who came in like, I don't understand what's so difficult. Like, I want a beer.
yeah,
Well, talk to your
And-
senators.
Yeah, contact your state legislators.
I don't think
Yeah.
they're from here.
I don't think a lot of the people were, because especially from their like reviews, they said that.
Right.
They were not from here. They
I
were
was
in
just
a group.
in town. Yeah.
I was just in town, and I mean, I'm not trying to be sexist at all, but some of them were ladies, and they were like,
Oh,
3
ladies.
beers is too much for me. So, like, I
That's
don't
such a
want-
Samantha thing to say.
Get a smaller glass.
so we have options. Yeah, we have size.
Well, no, it's
options.
not even a knock, but that was like just
Yeah.
like with what I saw. That
Right.
was some of the feedback.
We're not naive to that. We try to make the experience. We try to tailor the experience so that anybody coming in can basically find
As a good small
something.
business owner would do.
Yeah, but
There's a
going to be people
demographic
that
that's
just
not-
don't want
right.
to that just wanted a beer and leave.
Absolutely.
And the best we can do is be friendly to them and give them a little information, let them try a beer or two if they want, and then hopefully they'll go find a bar that they really like.
Well, but that's
some
an
ranch
interesting.
water.
We're at the bars. What were the bars that we're at?
That's an interesting perspective, though, because so many of the people who come to Austin, because it's like the number 3 bachelorette destination in the United States, like they're coming and their point is to get drunk.
I think
They go
somebody
West 6. They
recently
go-
named it the number 1 craft beer destination as well.
I can't even think of who would compete with us for craft beers.
Colorado.
Portland,
Colorado,
yeah.
Portland,
Oregon.
Montana.
San Diego.
Per capita, Montana has the most breweries.
Per capita, yeah. Because a bunch of dudes with beards that look like Cutter. They're like,
No,
I got a barrel and a bear in my
There's
backyard.
5 dudes there and 5 breweries. It's 1 brewery per dude. Anyway.
5 dudes. That's Cutter's dream.
I've seen that. No. Let's not get into that.
Anyway,
Sorry about that.
So what you're
Okay,
saying
yeah,
is this a good date night spot? Be like, hey, we're gonna go to this date night spot.
No,
and
Joel,
you get
don't.
6
Just
coins
don't.
for 16
Just
ounces.
don't.
Each of
there's no
beer.
coins, Joel.
Well, but that's a question. So
There's
if
something
you
there. There's, like,
if you
coins,
buy the
20
glass and the 3 pours or whatever, can you split it between 2 people?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a date night.
And if she loves Blue Owl, That's the one. It's like, God damn.
Well, it's a responsible thing to do, to share.
Well, but especially with like that first beer we tried, I could see my wife liking the Brut because she really likes champagne.
Oh, yeah.
She does not like sour beers. So I could see her.
Well, wasn't there something that you said she would love this because it doesn't taste
the
like
Jester
a
King?
Oh, yeah.
The Muscat. Yeah. And it's like, it tastes like wine.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah. But
This
like,
tasted mostly like champagne, sort of.
I mean, it's just
Fruity
you
champagne.
learn different people's flavor
Mimosa.
profiles.
There you
like,
go.
You know that Joel has a very distinct
Exactly.
flavor profile.
You don't know what
Pale
it
ale.
is.
Yeah, he likes
Beery,
beer.
like-
If it
I
has
like
a
beer.
beery. I was gonna say like Clint
Everybody's
likes-
got their own thing that they
open.
like.
We're open in this range.
Yeah, but Clint specifically does not like hops. He's very open.
Bitter.
He does not like the bitter.
super bitter.
He does not like the smack you
Lingering
in the face
bitterness.
with the IPA. And there are some places you go to where their IPA is that
Hops and
piney,
grains.
just like boom, like smack you upside the head.
Yeah.
And
Super West Coast, Idaho 7 sort of thing.
oh yeah, but like a New England IPA, I think you've liked a couple of those. But like for my wife, like she does drink either cocktails or wine.
Yeah.
But like if I was bringing her here, it would be like, okay, she would probably like the number 2 smash versus me liking the number 3.
Right.
And it's like,
So you're saying there's something here, like
something
else?
here for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just like pointing people to that direction. Like if
Right.
it was a date, they might not gravitate immediately towards the Brut.
Right.
They might start off on like the lighter beer.
Like, do you get that problem a lot where it's like, what do you want? Like, what's good?
Yeah. And the best you can do is start having them try things.
Yes.
Yeah.
I normally drink MGD.
Do you have anything like that? I'm living the high life right now.
Give them the little boss.
So we do try to kind of change their or set expectations when they come in the door, because we try to remind them that acidity and sour things are super common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it's foods that have vinaigrettes or
Even
have a
citrus,
balance,
the citrus flavor, oranges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oranges.
Exactly.
So then
Who
you're
hasn't had an
thinking
orange?
wine
Yeah.
is actually has
Acidic,
some
yeah.
acidic. Cider is acidic. So all
And
these
they're
things have
drinking that
acid in
East
them.
Cider, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so we try to just tell them, that start with the idea that acidity is normal, that sour things are very commonplace, and then what other flavors might you like with that?
Yeah.
Some hoppiness, some fruitiness, some maltiness.
And hoppiness does not always mean bitter. Does not
Absolutely.
always mean pine or resin.
Right.
Which a lot of people have a problem. Like, it's like, oh, I don't like hoppy things. No, you just don't like this hop.
Yeah.
Like something else. But
Well, I think so many places do it the wrong way
yeah.
that they're maybe conditioned.
I don't know wrong. I don't know if there's wrong or right. It goes along to that personal preference. Like, I don't like this. I don't like this. But I like this. I like Mosaic dry hopped. I don't like Mosaic used in the boil because it's got all that bitterness and pininess. But if you do it this different way, it releases all that fruit flavor and everything. But that's just me. So
Is it the same thing with like people who like savory stuff versus like
I think
like sweet
yeah,
stuff?
I
Like,
think there's something in there. Yeah.
I
It's
would
all
probably
about
argue,
personal preference.
I would
Oh, yeah.
argue that it is personal preference, but there are some places you go to where they're heavy on the IPAs. Like when I went up to Portland,
Yeah.
they were like, "Hey, every place has a majority 80%."
If that's what people are buying, and
I
those
know,
are
I
easy
know.
to make, that you can get them out
Quick.
within like a week.
Very
right,
good.
that's the
Quick.
thing. They quick, yeah.
And I think it's
Turn
like
and
the
burn.
laziness of it.
I
where
can-
they're like,
I can
okay,
see
that's
that.
what they're asking for, and it's quick to do. Anybody can open
I don't
up
want
a
to.
space.
I don't
make
want to
it
put it in.
Instagrammable,
Yeah.
and then just like turn over.
Plus,
I
we
don't
talked-
want to take the time or the effort
does-
to make a lager
Yeah,
and like.
Absolutely.
Plus, we've talked to breweries
That's-
where they're just like covered it in hops.
That's
Like, we're
actually
really trying to.
an interesting question for you, Jeff. Like, how does the souring process impact your time in the tank or brew times overall, I guess?
It keeps it pretty close to the same, and that's important with our goal of making it affordable and approachable.
Right.
Like being able to have a 6-pack of sour beer under $10 was kind of this big goal that we had initially, and there's a lot of reasons why the cost of it does go up when we're trying to do it this way. But all the efforts have been made to keep margins okay and
Yeah.
make sure that anybody can approach, or they're not turned away by the price point.
Right. Yeah.
And that isn't to say we don't do other things that are more expensive.
Sure,
and,
sure. Like
higher.
barrel aging probably the time in the cask and stuff.
Yeah,
probably
barrel aging. And actually something like Tropical is maybe about $14 a 6-pack. So fruit is really expensive.
Right, it is, yeah.
Shock, especially passion fruit.
People don't normally buy fruit on the scale that you do.
Hey, not at the Asian market that's by my
H Mart. They'll sell you all of it. But so for your brew, to go back to that, do you use the enzyme, the amylase? I can't remember the name of it, but
amylase. Yeah. So we do.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a big aspect of it, was that fascination with drying it out, reducing any of the residual sweetness or body, drying it completely out for drinkability's sake, but then also not having it taste watery or thin.
Right, yeah, no, definitely.
Which is where the minerals come in, and we increase the minerals, and that gives you more roundness and mouthfeel.
You could use a Kavik yeast, because that eats everything. Anyway, no.
He's
been really, so we do home brewing, and he's been really into the Kavik yeast strain lately.
It's a workhorse, man.
It is a workhorse. That's
it's our house yeast there.
Yeah.
It eats everything.
It does.
Yep.
Anyway,
you two mixed the Smash 2 and 3.
The Smash Brothers. Yeah.
Love the mixture. I feel like we just got a sneak preview of your next beer.
I still prefer the Citra myself. But
it was number 2 or 3.
Is probably pretty close to what Hop Totem actually is going to be.
Nice.
Hop Totem is that kind of balance of those things. It has your high notes and your bass, the supporting cask.
It's got the bitterness and it's got that brightness, citrusy.
Yeah, but it cleans up. It's a
definitely
Malty backbone.
Yeah,
it's like a beer brewed with Kavik.
Using that Kavik.
Okay.
Yeah, I know we cheated by mixing them, but that's a good beer.
Yeah,
we liked the 2 individually. We also like the 2 combined.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. We do have a little bit of all 3 saved, and I think we're going to do some event where you have
just
side
blend
by
them
side by side. But yeah, if I didn't even think about that, you could just blend them all together, and that's basically Hop Totem.
Yeah,
there you go.
I missed the El Dorado though. I could do with some El Dorado.
The El Dorado is really nice.
That personally, that's my favorite hop right now.
Really,
El Dorado. It's got that
over Citra,
nice. I've never used Citra in our home brewing, but that El Dorado has a candy fruitness to it. That really adds a note, especially when you're dry hopping with it.
Is that why you wanted to toss it into our IPA?
I have an ounce with me.
Yeah.
He's holding, guys.
Eldorado hops, not.
You heard him. He's holding.
I got an ounce.
You got an
In
ounce.
case anybody needs some dry hops.
No, I got to take it and go dry hop
our first IPA. Yes.
Yeah.
Is that like the father of the El Camino?
The El Dorado?
El Dorado?
No. Yes. Maybe.
So, Clinton Cutter, you are done. You have had number 2 and number 3.
Yeah.
You guys want to give your
reviews? Your
yeah, sure.
What are you thinking?
Prognosis?
I was going to say your professional
Professional
opinion, but I
opinion.
looked at you. I looked at you and I was like, I don't want to. I don't want to say that.
ZZ Top. They'll appreciate my professional.
They will absolutely. They're going to be like, son.
Between the 3, the Tropical was by far and away my favorite.
Agreed.
I liked the Smash series. The Citra was the next best. I liked all of them.
Number 2 was the one with the pale malt, right?
Yes.
And the Pilsner was the 3?
No.
Pilsner
was the
other way around.
Pilsner was
Citra
two.
and Pilsner. So
Pale was number 3. Yeah, because it was the lighter one. But number 3 was my least favorite. But it was only because it wasn't nearly as aromatic as all of them. All of them were very, very drinkable.
Joel doesn't even smell his beers.
Joel does not smell his beers.
I put my nose deep into that glass.
Oh, you did. You did.
But I
like
liked the
Roxanne
aromatics of 1 and 2. Yeah. The fruit on the Tropical really stood out, but I like all of them. So I haven't had a bad beer from you guys. I enjoy all of them. The Van Dam's still probably my personal favorite.
Yeah.
But it's but each and every one of them are fantastic, Jeff.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the feedback too.
Yeah.
And to hear that story of Van Dam disappearing for a while.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with it.
Oh, man.
Just put it out there. People are going to drink it. Anyway.
Just to
But how do you
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah. It's like beers that'll kick you in the face.
No, the brut is really delicious. Like I said before, I really appreciate the fact that it doesn't have a very strong hop profile because there are no hops in it.
Funny how that works out.
Yeah, that's so weird. And then as far as the two Smash series are concerned, I preferred number 3, number 2. But saying that, like, they still have that strong kind of, obviously it's single malt, single hop. So like that hop really comes through, and, that's not something I gravitate towards on a personal level. So like I would definitely go Little Boss or Professor Black or anything else. Probably not the Imperial Grand Admiral. I tried
Gravitas.
Gravitas.
The dreaded Rear Admiral.
Yeah, I did that as my last beer of the 3 or 4 that I had.
Really?
And I was just like, oh, that's too much, way too much.
Is it just high percentage or?
It is it's
up there. It's supposed to be around 10. Yeah, it's just very rich.
It's very dark, 10%, and it's hard to get through as your last
hold
beer.
Back. Yeah, it doesn't hold back. And that's another one of us just being like, can we do this? Kind of getting out there.
We asked, can we do this? But we didn't ask, should we?
We actually get that a lot in our Untappd reviews. I've seen that quite a bit. Admiral Gravitas probably will not be coming back this year.
Oh, yeah.
What?
But just hoppy beers, just not what's nice about them though is like the sourness cuts away from kind of that hop element. So like while it's complementing, it's also like kind of diminishing. So it makes it more drinkable for me. So people who are on like that cusp of like, I haven't had like an IPA I really like. They might like this. They might go for it. So I would recommend it to people like that.
Definitely the Citra. Personal preference.
Go ahead, Ross.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, definitely enjoyed the Citra. The Simcoe was no slack. It was definitely good too. But like what Cutter was saying earlier, I've never had a bad beer from Blue Owl. Although I didn't like the Spirit Animal, still a good beer, just not for me.
Right.
But
Sure.
all really well made. But yeah, the number 2 Smash for me, they're both ones. I'd drink them both.
Yeah.
If I had a choice, the number 2.
No, number 2.
Yeah. What about the combination?
It's got that. Still the number 2.
Oh, okay.
It does round it out. It's still got that brightness, but it's still got a strong bitterness from the Simcoe that I'm not really a fan of.
Yeah.
But the number 2 with the Pilsner malt lightness and the brightness of the citrus really nice. I really liked it. But I tend to enjoy like the fruitier, the fruit forward hops and a framboise or anything like that. But yeah,
hello,
that's my jam. But yeah, so Joel, you're still working on your number 3.
So Joel doesn't get to say. Joel doesn't get to say yet. Joel, finish your drink first. I'm going to jump in while you're finishing yours. So I would probably
drink, Joel.
It's weird, but like I am lining up with Clint's palate.
What?
That's it doesn't happen.
So you don't like beer?
Ooh. So for me, the number 3 Smash was amazing. I could drink this every single day.
Yeah.
Like this was great.
Do you like it better than the Brut? The
Yes.
Tropical?
Yes.
Tropical?
So for me, it was the number 3.
So you're not with line.
It was the mix of the 2 and 3, and then it was Tropical, and then number 2 by itself. Okay. And all of them were great beers, but if I had to pick, like if I already knew what they tasted like, that's the order I would go in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like so many distinct flavors.
Yeah.
And so many kind of like profiles where they open up slowly. But I would start with that number 3 Smash. Like that was incredible. And I would kind of preference that with I really liked Van Dam. I did not like the sour IPA.
Yeah, the pale ale.
The sour pale ale.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you and I were both on the same level at that point. Yeah.
But I mean,
I like the Spirit Animal. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I know you. It's beer, so Cutter liked it.
Yeah, I like
the Spirit Animal.
You did.
Okay.
We had it with
Then I probably liked it.
We had it with Macron's, which pairing
that one too?
pairing something that like I don't know. It's got that flavor that pairing with sweetness. I don't know.
well, I think it's interesting because it's almost contrasting. Where
It's like an IPA with ice cream.
Yeah.
It's going to bring out the bitterness and all the other flavors that
awful.
It's like maybe you're not going to like, but some people like Cutter are still going to love.
Ice cream social last
we
year
did, yeah.
where we poured beer over ice cream and we had an IPA. That,
we got to do it again, or we're going to do beer slushies. I can't remember. I don't know. If we can figure out how to do beer slushies, we'll do that.
That place wasn't local, right?
I'll pour
that
beer
place,
over ice
no.
cream. I'll do it every day of the week.
All right.
I didn't ask because we kept on getting sidetracked, but what is your favorite beer to make?
Good question.
What's your favorite beer of yours to drink? And then we can go to what's.
Ooh, we're doing question time.
It constantly changes. I guess probably because whenever we come around to a new seasonal, we kind of get obsessed with it. Like with Tropical, we spent months kind of testing and preparing, and then now that it's come out, I've been drinking so much of it. But pretty soon, Little Goza's going to come out with the Thai basil and Cara orange. I'm probably going to drink the crap out of that.
I'm holding you to that. We're still drinking after this.
Oh,
right?
sure.
Try it out of fermenter.
So I often enjoy the different beers that we make, usually because it's something that we had spent so much time trying to get right. And then I almost become obsessed with trying it. And especially if I think it didn't quite hit the mark, I almost drink it more because I'm trying to force myself to like, what happened?
You're trying to identify that like that little bit that, like you can tweak. Like you can, It's that critical thought process that,
Right. So, but
what's your favorite?
If I'm getting it right, your favorite to make is what you're making right now, like your seasonal.
Yeah,
because that's what you sounds like you're focusing on.
Yeah,
like,
I mean that's the exciting thing about beer to me, and why I've kind of stuck with it the whole time is because it's constantly an experiment. Like when I don't often drink beer when I go home after work. I'm going to drink whiskey or mezcal or something like that.
Oh, that's our next question.
Hang out with that guy.
That's our next question.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That was not the next question.
Because, I find beer is kind of like, it's my craft. It's the thing that I spend a lot of time like focusing and trying to understand. It's not the thing that I necessarily sit back and enjoy because my mind is always critiquing and analyzing it. Okay. But that's why I like not knowing things about wine. So I can actually like enjoy wine and not think about it. I can just chug a wine and be happy.
Are you like that
chugging
with other
wine? I don't know if you're drinking wine the right way.
Are you like that with other people's beers? Like, can you not really enjoy them as much because you're like, well, this could use a little of this and a little of that.
Absolutely.
So you can't drink a body spray. So that's what you're saying.
Actually, I had body spray this last weekend. But I can't have one without overthinking it, and it's hard for me to just enjoy a beer nowadays.
Right.
So, but
it sounds terrible.
It can be kind of rough because we're constantly surrounded by beer, but we're constantly trying it, and it's not about really enjoying the beer. It's about like trying to analyze it and assess it, and I guess it can kind of take some of the fun out of it. But there's other things to drink that are fun.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
I think that gets to a question we always try.
The creation is fun, but anyway.
Yeah, I think that tries to get to a question we always try to ask our guests, which is, what's your like go-to beer that's like always in your fridge, always stocked up? And then 2, what's your deathbed beer? Like if you were just like your last beer as your dying breath, like what would you request?
So I would usually say with this that I very rarely have beer in my fridge. I'm not. I don't go home and collect beer and drink beer. I do always have nice scotch. In my cabinet.
Do you have a go-to scotch?
Lagavulin. Lefroy 18's always been my like special occasion. Over time, like my day-to-day scotch is Aberfeldy, really easy to drink, and then right now I have
peaty.
Crazy. Oh, I love the peaty stuff.
I was saying Lefroy 18 is peaty. That's a punch you in the face peaty.
Yeah.
I always say Lefrog, but Lefroy sounds fancy.
That's what I've heard.
Trivia here: my wife is Scottish, so she moved over here to marry me about 4 years ago. And I met
And
her.
that's why
when
you
I was,
made the Wee Beastie. Oh,
Yep.
I get it.
So Wee Beastie is when she came over here. She's 35. She's about 30 back then. She had never had a mosquito bite in her life.
Oh, really?
Mosquitoes over
Man,
there.
I wish I could live that life.
So she moves over here.
Oh, I thought
and
that was
starts
like a
seeing
drink.
these bugs, these crazy ass bugs that we have here in Texas.
Did she get the big, like the bubbles, like the bites?
Oh yeah,
that,
she was
like-
in bed for like 2 days because she was all
Covered.
swollen from
That happened to my
mosquito
grandma.
bites.
Yeah.
Really? So she would run around the yard swanning away, calling them wee beasties. So that's, a wee beastie is just a little bug to
That
them.
that sounds right.
Slow down your sidewalk surfing, you cleaners!
That's hilarious. So named
So-
after mosquitoes.
Kinda, yeah.
Sidetrack. What's in the Wee Beastie? I don't know.
Mesquite.
Ross probably knows, but what's
Oh,
in
it's
the
a wee
Beastie?
heavy, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do love. It is unfortunate that porters, stouts, wee heavies don't sell too well in Texas.
Oh, man.
I mean,
We
people
love-
drink them.
I buy them.
They exist, but they're never going to be your big seller, and they're hard to justify.
I love a good
continuing
wee
to
Unless
heavy.
you're
brew.
selling to Tony, then they're all.
I was about to say that's where you go. If I was
He'll double up.
If I
Yeah,
was
that's
at an upcoming beer festival and somebody had like I don't know
Imperial
50
Stout.
something bottles of Wee Heavy.
We have 51 and 4 bombers.
Yeah, if I
Currently.
had 51 bottles of something, then that's one I would pick.
That's yeah. We love making our Wee Heavy, but anyway, I do at least.
Yeah. So beers
guys.
like that, I guess, so the robust porters and stouts, because they have so much complexity in the malt profile and balance, those are really like cool beers to make. And that's why Dockhand was such a big fascination of mine when I was at Black Star, because it's just a fun thing to try to balance and such a nuanced thing. Does that sell? Not really.
That's the problem there. It's like,
Yeah, so Wee Beastie
why
kinda
are you
came out of
people
that.
buying this? It's
What
amazing.
do you mean, you people? So for your deathbed beer, though, if it was your last beer ever,
Tropical Brut.
I kind of want to go back to some of my roots.
Founders.
There
get a
was
KBS.
Rolling Rock.
so you might notice some of the beers like at Black Star, Vulcan,
Yeah.
the sour rye IPA,
Yes.
Red's Rye. I think
wow.
that's what they called it at Founders. Founders had a beer called Red's Rye.
Yeah, I think I've seen that.
Might have
yeah.
ripped that one off.
May have.
No, it's
But no, I always loved New Glarus.
yeah.
There was in his Untappd series, not Untappd, Unplugged series, where Dan Carey is kind of my idol, where he made just a beautiful, I don't know if you'd call it a Berliner, it wasn't really a Berliner Weiss, but it was a very light sour beer, but it was made with white grapes. So a couple different kinds of white grapes, and it was just so nice and so complex and so subtle. Like wasn't really asking for much, just to be enjoyed.
You sound like an artist.
Wasn't that for much? Just enjoy me.
it's
so it's such a good
just
beer.
a
I only had
square
one.
on a canvas. It's no, I don't know. Subtle.
But I would pick that one, even though I can't remember exactly. It was just one of those beers I had, and I was like, "This is so amazing."
Yeah.
But then, New Glarus is hard to get, and even
Yeah.
then, I don't think they
Yeah.
make that particular
Can
beer
we
anymore.
get it for the podcast?
No, I
Probably
don't
doesn't
think
have
they
the distribution.
I don't sell it. I don't think they sell it there. I don't think they distribute here. Even it'd be hard to get. Actually.
Do you know where they're located out of? Oh, and no, we can look it up.
Well, they're
we can
so
Bing it.
New Glarus is outside of Madison, a little
Oh,
kind of
Wisconsin.
village.
Yeah, we're not going there anytime.
And they only distribute to Wisconsin, which is
Yeah.
another reason why I really
Yeah.
appreciate them.
But if you have Instagram, you can see a ton of it. On there. People are taking pictures of New Glarus salt every day.
What is that
Yeah.
plane ticket? Like $75 probably?
It's not that and then you can go to Leinenkugel, although they're owned by Miller Coors, but they make a good shandy.
They do make a good shandy.
All the
Did
shandies.
you want to frame the last question?
Oh, do we? Well,
Yes.
Did we want to try the Goza and then wrap up?
No,
No,
let's
okay.
let's
Wrap
just
it
do
up.
that.
Gotcha.
Although I have one. Have you ever made a sour that's too sour?
No, we haven't. The methods that we use don't tend to get overly crazily sour, and I'm sure you've noticed anybody who's had a Blue Owl beer.
I call them beginner sours. Like you want to try like a really
Super
good
sour.
sour. Like these are
yeah.
really good places to jump off of your comfort zone.
Kind of beginner sours.
I mean, we try to we frame it as balanced and integrated.
Okay. And you try to keep it consistent from batch to batch.
And consistency is a big thing. You know, that's what we were talking about. Like, you know, if you've had a Blue Owl beer, hopefully, whether you liked that particular style or not, hopefully it wasn't a bad beer. Like something that would go bad. What was the question?
Yeah.
Have you
ever made it too sour? So I think that's answering the question.
Yeah.
So, no.
I've definitely had beers that have been too sour, and we didn't set out to do that anyways. There is a little bit of fascination for trying to make something a little more sour. We do sour units where it's a measurement of...
I've seen that on your can. Yeah.
We've never
and
broken
on your website,
100.
I think,
So 100 sour units is 1% lactic acid. And there's beers out there that are over 100 SUs, but we haven't done that. I think one of the can't quit use was 98. And it started getting you to pucker. And I liked it.
They're more tart. Like all your beers, I feel, are more tart than actually sour.
Super sour, yeah. All right, so the last question.
Oh, last question.
Oh,
all right.
Question 2.
So this is a competition between me and this guy right here, Cutter.
True.
The movie The Fifth Element. Is it a good movie or is it a bad movie that is fun to watch?
This is the one that counts.
I think you should ask him if you've seen it.
Most important question.
You should ask him if you've seen it.
Absolutely have seen it.
We've had people
think he's
say
aware
like,
of
there's
it.
people who have said one person so far
said they
who's-
hadn't seen it.
They're like, I haven't seen it. Oh, two people who
I
haven't seen
wouldn't
it.
say it's a bad movie.
You wouldn't say that.
I would
Would
not
you say it's
that.
a good movie?
Oh, man.
I wouldn't say it's a good movie. I would say it's neither of those things, but is really fun to watch.
Ah,
But
okay.
so I wouldn't say it's a really fun to watch bad movie. I think it's a really fun to
I'll take
watch
that point. I'll take that point.
Movie, okay.
because I like so many aspects of it, and mostly I watched it, when I was younger. Sure, and it was.
But if it was
crazy and
on,
fucking
would you
campy.
watch it to the end?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But that's a number one.
No, Cutter would too, but
Boom, secondary
I think it's
question.
pretty crazy. I really enjoy it. I always love the opera singer.
Yes.
who's
Slava
doing that
Laguna.
thing.
yeah.
And then who was it? Chris Rock was in there.
No,
Chris Tucker.
Tucker. Sorry.
The tuck man.
How did she swallow all of those stones?
Hey, you don't ask.
Maybe you
don't ask, don't tell.
surgically implanted. I don't know.
That's a good question. What did you guys?
So I'm in it's a good movie camp. He's in the bad movie that's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
And tally wise, I think I have like
Clint,
I think I got
Yeah.
like 5 or 6 ahead of him now at this point. So we've had.
I think
there's
just
been
people being pressured by the way you phrase it.
Maybe.
It's
we've
all
had-
on how you ask it.
We've had one person who's like, oh, neither. That's just a horrible movie.
No fun in that.
Matt from the Beer Museum.
Yeah, Matt.
Working at ABW now.
Yeah. He was just like. His wife was like, "Oh, that's a great movie," and he was like, "Oh no, that
I
movie
hate
is
it.
just absolutely horrible." And I was like,
I'll never watch it ever
I don't
again.
understand. But other than that, right now I think I'm like 5 points ahead on the tally. So,
But I think it tells us a lot about people, and what your
just
perspective
looking
is on the
for-
world. And some people have the wrong perspective.
If you don't like life, then you're probably going to be some miserable person that doesn't like that movie.
Absolutely. Hey,
That sounds familiar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel bad because I know Matt, and he's such a smart, good guy, but now I just don't.
you just don't know.
Oh man,
my whole perspective on him just changed, guys. That's awesome.
I didn't know you knew Matt.
Yeah, awesome. All right.
Did you have Joel? I thought
Oh,
you
I
said
had
something
two-
to add.
Yeah, I had 2 quick questions.
Oh
Okay.
man. Okay.
All right, so you have an owl on your arm.
Spirit animal.
Yeah, Blue Owl.
Yeah.
So did you get that, first question, did you get that before or after
Yes.
you started the brewery? And second, can you introduce me to your acid guy?
So
So his acid guy is a girl.
why's it got to be a guy?
What's that big guy?
Hashtag.
I've never done acid. I don't do well with psychedelics.
Yeah.
Oh no, the acid comes from the grains. Didn't you hear that?
Oh yeah, they were acid. Yeah.
And actually got this done during the construction of Blue Owl, and now I
Nice.
do think it was appropriate because
Yeah.
opening this place, it was mentally very challenging.
I can
and,
imagine,
and
yeah.
hard. So I wanted the physical pain too to match that.
Okay.
Nice.
This motherfucker hurt. This took quite a long time and really hurt. So
That was something that we didn't ask. That I really wanted to know.
Oh, my
Where'd the
God.
owl come from?
like you said earlier that it is your spirit animal.
It is my spirit animal.
Okay.
The blueness, that is my favorite color. Blue owl.
Okay. So you just
sure. We'll just put them together, and nobody's copyrighted that one. So.
Luckily. Okay.
could have been fuchsia owl. It just doesn't work as well, you know?
I just
doesn't roll off the tongue like that.
I just imagine you went to like the office and they're just like, that one's taken. Nope, you can't have brown owl. What about green owl? Nope, that's taken too.
We were red owl for a little while, but there is a place called Red Owl that was a bar.
Oh,
so
yeah?
we can't do that.
Grackle.
Green owl, we
Blue
thought
grackle.
seemed a little too like we were trying to be green.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah,
we didn't want to.
I immediately got that. Yeah.
Okay.
Got that.
So we went with Blue Owl, and I thought that was perfectly fine. But somebody brought up, one of our investors brought up, and I guess maybe this is an older thing, like a blue movie or a blue, like something that's kind of
nudie. It's a nudie movie.
Yeah, like that. And I was like,
hey,
what?
Oh, I thought it was depressing.
I never knew. No,
I didn't know either. But I think if you're of,
I've heard blue language.
generation older,
Is that what? And blue laws.
Yeah,
Blue
like
laws.
Lenny
You
Bruce.
can't-
Yeah.
You
Lenny
can't
Bruce
buy the
style.
beer
About that.
on Sundays before noon.
Yeah, I didn't think
God
about
damn
that.
it. Anyway.
So
Dan,
Blue
damn
Owl's
it.
what we ended
Yeah.
up with.
yeah, nice.
All right, so no more questions. All
All right, cool.
right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today on our visit to Blue Owl. Hope you enjoyed yourself. We all enjoyed ourselves. Everything was a 1 so far. And find us where you find your podcast. You obviously found one. So, and find our Patreon.
Come visit Blue Owl Brewing.
Yes, definitely come visit
Absolutely.
Blue Owl.
They
Try
don't-
everything that they have.
They don't make bad beers.
No, they do not.
Hey, you can get a
our
burrito
quote.
after, or
If
some
you're
Mexican
really
food.
nice,
No,
you
no,
might get
patent
something
pending.
straight
Patent
out. You might get something straight out of the fermenter. Probably not. Don't come here. Expect this. Yeah. So
Leave us
so-
reviews. Leave us reviews.
Yeah,
please.
leave us
Just
review on
stars.
iTunes if
you
you
just
like.
gotta.
No, not just the stars. A review.
At
You
least
don't
try
have
the
to
stars.
type anything. Say "fuck you, Cutter" if you like, but whatever you
Man,
like.
we didn't have a fuck you cutter in this episode.
We
Oh,
didn't.
man.
We had a "fuck you, Jeff."
We did.
So
Yeah.
that was. I think that's okay.
right.
So what we do? How we close out? I'll say, "This is Ross," and then Joel doesn't say anything.
Usually
anyway,
you just go,
This is, and then we say, "This is the podcast." Then we take a beat, and then we all together we say, "This is the podcast."
We don't know
is
why
a
we do that.
podcast?
No, this is the podcast.
This is the
No,
podcast.
this isn't a podcast. This is the podcast.
This is
It is.
Oh, so and
This is the podcast.
so the explanation behind that is like the idea for this podcast came from us just like sitting around doing basically what we do.
Yeah, and
It's
we were like, "What are we going to talk about?" And it's like, "This is what we're going to. What is the podcast going to be about?" This is the.
yeah, like
Okay,
this
got
is
it.
the podcast. Us sitting around drinking, having bullshit
Yeah.
time, and like learning more about beer actually has become an element
Oh,
of
yeah.
it for us.
Yeah, we
doing,
have-
doing it, but
I didn't know shit a year ago or a
But-
year and a half ago when we started.
And now we have 2 Cicerone certified, and
Level 1.
yeah, And
is that a different
we
thing?
make our own
Cicerone
beer.
certified
Anyway,
is level
all right,
2.
all right.
Ah.
So let's wrap it up.
All right. So, thanks everybody for joining us. This has been Ross.
Joel's there.
Joel's there.
This is Jeff.
This is Tony.
This is Cutter.
This is Clint.
This has been the podcast.
This is the podcast.
3 Beers In is a proud member of the Hopped Up Network. Thanks for sticking around. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Play, TuneIn, and on the hoppedupnetwork.com. If you like what you heard, rate and review us on iTunes. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at 3 Beers In Podcast, and check out our website, 3beersinpodcast.com. 3 Beers In Podcast.com. You can find information about us and the show along with the links to all of our episodes and our really cool merchandise. While you're on our site, you can tell us what you like, what you don't like. And if you don't like us, then why the hell are you still here? You should have turned us off long ago. But if you're just going to listen to us anyway, then you should probably subscribe too. And if you would like a transcript of our podcast, write down everything that we just said.
And if she loves Blue Owl, that's the one.
you are looking for more beer podcasts just like the one you're listening to right now, then head on over to hoppedupnetwork.com. We are a podcast network focused on our local craft beer communities. Here's a quick example of one of the many podcasts you will find.
Talking Point, a topic that invites discussion or argument.
Drinking Points, topics that invite discussion about local history over a cold beer.
Hey everyone, I'm Haley.
And I'm Troy, and we are Drinking Points, a history podcast brewed for your enjoyment.
Join us as we discuss history and brews from Buffalo, New York and beyond. Find us on the Hopped Up Network.